Maybe we will begin with one or two questions,
Okay.
if you have.
The lady is asking what kind of question?
Anything behind you.
I think it will be taught at the afternoon session, but the word ningje, you explained that it's the most supreme kind of mind state. I was a bit curious because it had a lot of different connotations with the word compassion in Korea, which is chabi. So I'm curious about what this most supreme state of mind is.
Okay. This is going to be, I think, probably, this will take probably the whole afternoon we are going to take. After all, this is Avalokiteshvara Dharani, and Avalokiteshvara is embodiment of compassion.
Yeah, sorry. Earlier, you were talking about deconstruction. The mind wants to deconstruct, and how the heart is more willing to just kind of go with the emotional aspect. In relation to the deconstruction, how can you protect yourself against falling into nihilism?
And this is an important question, especially when we talk about shunyata. Important question and quite difficult subject, this one. I hate to bring this up again and again, but I think this will help you. I hate to quote him, this one person. Well, I don't know whether I should even say I hate, because in a way also I kind of like him, this man. His name is Osho.
Yeah.
He said, Buddhist no is a very special no. Because in the Buddhist no, there is 100 yes. You know the Heart Sutra that's translated into Korean?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this is important. We should discuss this. When we say no eyes, what is the word no in Korean? Bu?
Mu is
Mu.
Chinese. Opta is Korean.
Opta.
Opta.
What does that mean?
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, yeah. It's a very difficult. You see the word, the Tibetan word tongni. Tongpanyi or me. Me is a short form, but me is actually more dangerous. Tongni is quite okay. Shunyata, how do you translate shunyata into Korean?
공성.
Okay, again, now in Kungsang, does
Yes.
it have the connotation of both yes and no together?
공 is empty. 성 is a characteristic.
Yes, that helps a little bit, that characteristic part. So, okay, the short answer is, when we talk about deconstruction, even the deconstruction itself need to be deconstructed. So this is why we always say, Tawa tamji pangvichir kodam dela chasalo. To Gautama Buddha, I prostrate, the one who has no view. Viewless view. You can say that. So when so it's kind of the word me, mig me, na me, je me, you know this, no eyes, no, that really the word no, that really need to be explained. So when you are reading the Heart Sutra, for the student, you have to pay extra attention to, when we read the Heart Sutra, there's a four angle to look at it. Form is emptiness. Okay, let's assume that we understand. The second one, emptiness is form. Now that we need to pay extra attention, because this then saves you from nihilism. So, non-existence, the idea of non-existence should not be that it once existed before and it does not exist anymore. It should not be that. I need to share this with you. This is kind of important. This is why You know, if you talk to a Madhya Mikan, actually all the Mahayana scholars and accomplished being, if you tell them things arise from cause and condition, okay? Things arise from cause and condition. For a Mahayana expert, practitioner and a scholar, especially practitioner, in his or her ear, it is equal to nothing arised. You know what I mean? This is very interesting, this one. Yeah. Dependent arising equal to non-arising. We use these two phrases, these two statements, alternate, we change these words for different purpose, Okay? You can sort of roughly say, dependent arising is more like a Cinderella. No arising is more to the direct. See, this morning, as you walk in, if I'm sitting on this one, if I'm sitting on this, throne has been arisen. But now, because this is all here and I'm using it as this, table has arisen. The same thing. So the Buddhists think like this: when the cause and conditions are all put together, then something not miraculously, illusorily appears. And then and the problem is thinking that it's real. If it is really arising, okay, remember I said dependent arising is equal to non-arising. Now, if it is really arising, then this throne has to come out from my butt. Can you understand? Why? Because if my butt was not on this, you will never think this is a throne. The fact that I'm sitting on it also helps you to have this phenomena. That's a throne. Very strange throne, they will think. Okay, so we will now talk about... You finished? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so now we will talk about the first element, the first character of this dharani. I will use the English word compassion just because I don't have a short word at the moment. So okay, first one is, okay, so there's three aspects here, three aspects of compassion. The first one is common compassion. Most probably what we usually talk about compassion. And that works like this. You look at somebody who is, who's in pain, who's suffering. And we are talking about suffering, like things like I don't know, death, old age, sickness. I don't know, people who have no money, no power, and then basically having an empathy. Okay, so that's easy to understand. I think, we can discuss this if you want to clarify more later. Now the second one is exclusive Buddhist, and the third one is exclusive Mahayanist. And you need all three. Until you have this all three, it is not Mahakaruna. Okay. Let me just go through the whole three first. The second compassion, so-called compassion, Okay, I'm using the word compassion reluctantly here. Second compassion is knowing everything is impermanent. Everything is subject of time. That everything is a compounded phenomena. Can you tell the difference? The first one has that, since we are in the world, digital world, when you send messages, you have emoji, right?
Emoticons.
Emotion, right?
Yes.
First one have, you can have tears and all of that. Oh, all that. The second one, you can't really have it. Emoji. No emoji for the second compassion. Can't design that. Basically, knowing everything is subject of time and everything is caused and conditioned. Okay, so you and me, people like you and me, we will go to a funeral and say, oh, so sad, the grandfather died or the child died. You understand? You and I. You and I will not go to a wedding or a birthday party and say, oh, how sad. You and I won't think. Even if we do that, they might beat you up. What kind of person is this? We are having this party and, like happy and merry, and then here's somebody who is like brooding and, like moody. What's this? But a practitioner, including the arhats, when they go to, whether it's a funeral or a wedding, they see that the game of cause and condition is happening. The change is happening every minute, every second. And that's like, I don't know how to, basically knowing the change and the dependency. Like the whole wedding stuff, whole birthday stuff, whole everything, celebration is a phenomena of dependent phenomena. Do you know what is dependent? Dependent is the opposite of independent, meaning it's terrible. It's the saddest thing, isn't it? You are dependent. You are a slave. You are out of control. You are not your own boss. Hypothetically speaking, what I'm saying is that Arhat may send a condolence card to a funeral and a wedding equally. Mm-hmm. Or somebody's dead, the Arhat, somebody's dead. Oh, somebody's dead. Next door, somebody's being born, giving birth. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Arrival to this world, this dependent world. for the Arhat, both are equal cause of bad mood. Okay. Now the third compassion is exclusive Mahayana. That compassion is what we call migba mebi nyingje, meaning, the first compassion is towards those who are having pain, remember? The second compassion is towards, impermanence and dependent on cause and conditions, but not knowing that. The third one is basically all illusory phenomena. To complete all these three, only the Buddha has. Even for, because even the 10th Bhumi Bodhisattva is the object of the third compassion. Because they have not understood everything as illusion, as complete as the Buddha himself. Yeah. Okay, so I was talking to you, and I think maybe I'll open to the question, but I was talking just before the lunch about, political correctness and guilt and all of that. Please bring that into this context. The first compassion that we are talking about is common to many other religions. Second and the third one, exclusive Buddhism. Okay, if you don't have the second and the third compassion, the Buddhist will think the first compassion is actually source of pain. Also, the first compassion have a lot of sense of righteousness. That poor, pathetic being, object of compassion, me, the one who has compassion, the higher being. By the time you reach to the third compassion, there is no object of compassion and the subject compassion. Oh, this has so many infinite elements. I don't know how to. Probably we should discuss this a little bit so that you understand. And I think this, it's almost impossible for me to go through word by word, and it's also not really necessary. I think we should just discuss some of the more important points, and this is definitely one of them. Okay, I'll give you one example. Mahayana people always say we should have sentient beings, compassion to all sentient beings. What does this all means? If you don't have the second and the third compassion, you will have a hard time understanding what this all means. But if you understand the third compassion, you will realize that there is no such thing as all.
근데 여러분들이
And there is no such thing as few. So the bodhisattvas never feel burdened. Oh my God, I have to have compassion. When I can't have compassion to just my own husband or a wife or a friend, how can I have compassion to all sentient beings? All sounds so burdening and so big and so infinite. Bodhisattvas don't feel that. Okay, I will let you ask some questions. If the questions is regarding these three, would help for the further discussion.
지금
But by all means, ask me whatever.
Thank you, Rinpoche. As you just mentioned, the second compassion is knowing everything is impermanent, subject to time and cause and condition. So it already means that everything is not truly exist. It means everything is just like a dream and illusion. So what's the exactly difference between the second one and the third one?
We are really touching very fine point here. In the second one, when you think everything is impermanent, you are still asserting that there is something that is impermanent. So it's still a little bit of Cinderella, because there's still something to be impermanent. On the third compassion, they don't know what is impermanent. What do you mean by impermanent? What do you mean by permanent? There is none of these distinctions at all.
되는 거죠.
The second one, when we talk about cause and condition, we are still talking about the logic of cause, condition, and the effect. In the third one, no cause, no condition, no result, no eyes, no nose, no birth, no death, no old age, no enlightenment, remember?
Can I understand it as actually the third one is really means everything is not truly exist. Therefore, no need have the attachment, no fear, no expectation, and then no burden.
Basically, the third one is the shunyata. It is. So that's why in the Mahayana Buddhism, shunyata and mahakarun, it is in the Dharani, mahakaruna, the great compassion, okay, word compassion I really don't like, but still, is exactly same.
Thank you very much.
Any more?
There are four boundless mind, compassion, loving kindness, and there's this equanimity in the fourth.
Yeah.
the relation between equanimity
Yeah.
and the third, compassion.
Yeah. It's very similar. It's very, very similar. But when we talk about even the four immeasurable thing, we can teach in a many, many different way. If you teach in the highest way, the equanimity, the fourth one, and this third one is same. Because sometimes when we talk about the equanimity, we understand it's like an equal right. Everybody is equal. That's not the complete thing here. And by the way, please remember rabbit's shit. You can tell now why it helps. Because when you chant this dharani, because of this dharani is quintessence. One of the quintessence is this compassion. Okay, I will. More question? Yeah. Yeah, please. Yes, somebody need to translate this one. Yes, you can speak. Speak. Okay. Oh. Can you translate? Maybe he will translate. You just say it from there. It's okay.
She said the Buddha has this awakened quality, and according to this, the same awakening, is that awakeningness also dependent arising? Is that once that's arising?
Yeah, that is not a dependent arising. That is, we call it the path of the stage of normal learning. If you ask, okay, this is hypothetical. If you ask Buddha, okay, let's say somebody got enlightened, okay, let's say, and then the earlier Buddha, let's say, so, oh wow, welcome, at last you have done it. But all this hypothesis is wrong. From Buddha's point of view, he or she has never ever been defiled. So therefore, there is no awakening. For them, they have no such thing as, oh yes, when I was defiled long time ago, I used to read Murakami. And now that I have reached enlightenment, I will now read Murakami in one moment. They don't have that. But, this is important, you need to know this. But, if the Buddha has a disciple, this Buddha has a so-called disciple, then Buddha will say, yes, when I was a sentient being, I used to read Murakami. Do you remember Cinderella?
신데렐라 기억나시죠?
That's what's happening here.
네.
Okay. Before we take a break, I'm going to talk about Avalokiteshvara because this is the right time now. Okay, so who is this Avalokiteshvara? I know, 11 faces, 1,000 arms, 1,000 eyes, all that. And then, I don't know, but there is Kuan Yin in Korea, is there?
Yes.
Kuan Yin?
Kuan Yin?
You have?
Yes, of course.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So sometimes he's a she.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's this figure called Avalokiteshvara, like 1,000 arms. Now, who's your Korea's greatest fashion designer?
Andre Kim.
Really?
He passed away. But
We should ask him to design a shirt for 1,000 arms. Okay, what I'm trying to get you is this. People like you and I, we can only think in terms of language, to begin language. Even though our language is so limited, and almost all our language is vague, but we get by. Most of the time we get by because we have unsuccessful misunderstandings. Then we feel we are understanding each other because we are just having unsuccessful misunderstandings. Anyway, very limited. Our language is very limited, but we get by. Nothing surprising. Cats have 2 vowels, they get by. They can talk as much as they want, within themselves, they communicate, okay? The first thing we have is language. We depend on language. Then we also depend on symbols. For instance, the moment we have to talk about Donald Trump, a peach color hair comes in our head. We rely on symbols. And then much more, we rely on other things like, 2 hands is acceptable, 1,000 arms. I don't think we will invite Avalokiteshvara with 1,000 arms for your girlfriend who is not a Buddhist, her birthday. You will not invite him. You understand? But anyway, we rely on symbols. So throughout, there is a symbol of Avalokiteshvara. Many different symbols. As I said, one yin, woman. In India, usually Avalokiteshvara is men. Yeah. But what is really Avalokiteshvara? It is this 3 compassion. This is a big statement, you should underline this. What it means is actually you can experience a part of this Avalokiteshvara even now. If you walk out of this room and if you see somebody who's really suffering, if you feel sympathy, there's an Avalokiteshvara experience there. Okay? So, because this 3 is such an important supreme wisdom and method, we need to cultivate this. Because there's so much, by cultivating this compassion, you are protected from all kinds of ailment. You become the wish-fulfilling jewel. You become the savior of all sentient beings. Okay, so how do we now cultivate this? If you have a superior faculties, all you do is cultivate directly this 3 compassion. If you are not that superior in your faculties, then you rely on dharanis, visualizations, forms, symbols, so on and so forth. Okay, so I just want to link the dharani and everything what we have been talking. Okay, we will take 15 minutes break and we will talk a little bit more about this three compassion again. Also, I will let you ask some questions if you have.
On behalf of Madam Lu from China, she would like to know if she make aspiration to go to the Pure Land, and after that, and she come back to the samsaric world. Does that count as Mahakaruna?
Absolutely, it is count as. It's like this. If you trust a person because of a very good reason, but if you trust somebody without any reason, no rationale, but because you are fortunate, this person whom you are blindly trusting is really, really good, that's also good. This is found in the Mahayana teachings. Like, if you give a beggar, someone who really have nothing to eat, but you give, But next to this beggar, there's a Buddha or a Bodhisattva who has plenty to eat. But you still decided to give the Bodhisattva better, because this Bodhisattva can do a lot of things, and you have a lot of merit. Is Pure Land school practice in Korea? Not much, is it? Okay. It's very important. Pure Land school is very important. Like myself, I brought up as I was brought up or trained as a logician. It has its good side, but it can only take you so far. So, because this is related, I want to say this. Many of us are not diligent. Time to time, maybe once in a blue moon you might want to read a sutra or meditate for an hour. That's about it. And many of us, we are not that, we like to misbehave. Do you have mahjong?
Something like that.
What do you have?
We call it go stop.
Yeah. Well,
It's gambling.
many of we are addicted to that kind of thing. And then many of us want to eat crabs or chicken legs. I don't know. Many of us wants to drink alcohol, whatever. And I will tell you something. There's not a single word in the sutra where Buddha said, those who do this are outcasted. None. If you have a trust to the Buddha, Dharma and the Sangha, like Amitabha, you may never ever meditate. You may never go to temple. You may never read this Dharani. But one way or another, end of samsara is guaranteed. End of samsara is guaranteed. It may not necessarily happen right away, but it's guaranteed. You have to know this. I think so many times Buddhists tend to think, oh, to be a Buddhist you need to renounce everything, go to the cave, shave your hair. Absolutely wrong. Avalokiteshvara never shaved his hair, never went to the cave. He owns palace. You only own maybe a flat, that's about it. He owns a palace. I like to really stress this. Any more question?
Rinpoche, I've been practicing reciting this great Dharani for quite some time, and I do get a sense of taking refuge or calling to the Avalokiteshvara who is residing in my mind or is manifesting from the emptiness. And I do feel a certain kind of joy or a sense of being purified, but I can't find that key you called faith or devotion. So could you kind of suggest a way to find this key?
I'll give you the key. You should keep on thinking you don't have that. That's your key. I'm serious. You should never be satisfied with what you have, your spiritual mind. With the food, maybe you should really, be moderate.
뭐 음식 같은 경우
Don't eat too much. With things like shopping, probably moderation is good because there's no space to put things, But one should never think that, oh, I have enough devotion. The other key is, whatever you do, doing it for the benefit of all sentient beings. I think even if it is a fake, contrived, and just mouthing words, it really helps. Okay, let's going back to the three compassion. Answering to your question. For most of us, this third compassion is on intellectually, yes, we can discuss a little bit, we can, I see, little bit of intellectual understanding, but really realizing this is difficult. So there is what do you call it? We call it tap, upaya, skill. You need a skill. If you have the skill, then you get things done easily, safer, and economically, so to speak. And the skill to materialize, to really realize the third compassion is, skill to realize the third compassion, even by ordinary beings like us, is already training our mind that we do these great things for the benefit of all sentient beings. You see, this word, all sentient beings, is that this kind of concept leads you to the non-duality. Because usually our compassion is only focused to those who are destitute, those who are sort of more lower than us, or how should I put it, those who are in a bad situation. So there's already a judgment, distinctions. It's understandable if you speak about compassion to all those kids who are dying of hunger in Africa. But most of us will not really understand if someone says you should have compassion to Bill Gates. There's this sense, oh, he doesn't need my compassion, he's quite well off. So that kind of distinctions increases dualism. The duality is the obstacle to the third compassion. So all sentient beings, every one of them. It's a mind training, by the way. And of course, initially, it's very contrived, fake. That's how you learn everything. That's how you learn your language. When you were a baby, you've been mimicking your mother's whatever they are saying. So slowly, then the equanimity grows. And then the third compassion is materialized. Okay? Just to remind you, this Bodhi, Brahma asked, because he was so impressed with the Dharani, he asked the question, what is the quintessence of this Dharani? And Avalokiteshvara had 9 elements of the quintessence of this Dharani. And we have only covered the first one, not even covered, but sort of we are still discussing about the first one. The third compassion is a compassion beyond subject and object. Of course, right now, this is only on the intellectual level we can understand, probably. So, if you were to ask me, how does it function, non-subjective and objective compassion, how does it function? Effortlessly. There's no doing, there's no action. I think Chinese, I don't know whether Korea has this, I think the Chinese have, I forgot the word to pronounce properly. The Chinese, like the philosophy of Taoism, for instance, they have this action of no action, right? Wu Wei, Wu Wei.
Wu Wei.
Yeah. Is there something like that?
We do have Taoism, and
Okay.
people are quite familiar with Lao Tzu.
Okay. So this action, no action, action of no action, that is something that you can practice now. It's not something that you have to wait until you become better so that you can practice. I'm sure you still have the habit of thinking, oh, compassion must involve some kind of a sadness, some kind of a tear, some kind of a feeling sorry for somebody. You are understanding compassion in a very kindergarten level. Forget the third compassion. Even on the second compassion, this kind of compassionate being who has the second and the third, they don't feel sorry. Feeling sorry is very limited. Feeling sorry for somebody, feeling somebody is very limited.
Yeah.
But of course, you and I, that's the best we could do. Feeling sorry for somebody is the best thing we could do. That's already good, and we should not lose that. But there's something you can do more, especially on the third. What do you do? Do nothing. The third one is like doing nothing. Let me expand this a little bit. Okay. It's a little bit, okay. Going back to what is it that the Buddhists want or aim? Awakened state. Right? How come we are not awakened? Because we have delusion. How come we have delusion? Because delusions are like a phone, and the battery you need to charge. We are constantly charging our delusion. How do we charge? Constantly getting distracted. That's how we charge. And what do I mean by constantly getting distracted? Constantly doing something. So it's a bit like this. Our distractions gets charged every time you poke. It doesn't matter whether you poke it positively or negatively. It gets charged. So we need to learn to not poke. Leave it alone. Don't do good things, don't do bad things. Leave it alone. Battery will slowly recedes. Your delusion will become weaker and weaker. I mean, in the Buddhist practices, we do have so many methods of not doing anything. Like sitting, meditation, sitting in a meditation posture. So as you sit and do nothing, you poke less. I'm telling you this because we need to know that the state of Avalokiteshvara is achievable now, here, year 2017, now. It's not like mysterious, mythological, out of reach. I'm going to go through the other aspects tomorrow, but just briefly, Avalokiteshvara also said that as you read this Dharani, so many protection will come from all directions. If you are reading this Dharani, the Bodhisattva of the moonlight will always shine upon you. Bodhisattva of the sunlight will always shine upon you. I, Avalokiteshvara, with my 1,000 eyes, will gaze upon you, so on and so forth. All kinds of ailment and obstacles can be purified. So there's a long list of the benefit of this Dharani. There's also a list of the title or the name for this Dharani, which is told to Ananda by the Buddha himself. And then again and again, Buddha himself confirms that this Dharani has not a single word that is deceiving. And therefore, the practitioner of this Dharani must practice this in all different ways. For instance, as I just spoke earlier, a few moments ago, just being in the present moment, just not getting distracted. Even though you are not chanting, you are not reciting Dharani, that is the quintessence of the practicing Dharani. If those who are not satisfied, or those who doesn't have the capacity to practice that way, then there's a list of all these rituals. Rituals are very important. we are losing the significance of the ritual as the time goes by. I have a lot of things to say about this, but I think probably we don't have enough time. But for instance, like in Japan, they have all these rituals, like tea ceremony, like a flower arrangement. And then the whole philosophy of, I don't know what you call it here in Korea. In Japan, they call it wabi-sabi. Is there such a word? Wabi-sabi?
I don't know what wabi-sabi is.
Actually, I also don't know much, but I have a little sense about wabi-sabi that I've been talking with some of the Zen masters. But you can tell that the wabi-sabi actually comes from the Buddhist wisdom. Now, okay, so basically the wabi-sabi is something like seeing beauty in the imperfection, or seeing beauty in something temporary. Like the sakura flowers are beautiful because it's temporary. It lasts only about a week. If it is throughout the year, then nobody's going to go there and take photographs. So appreciating, also there's a lot of imperfection becomes an art now. All this have come from the Buddhist wisdom, but now it's all overshadowed by people like Issey Miyake, all as a fashion, trend, completely losing the Buddhist wisdom in it. And worse is they never give credit to the Buddha's teachings. Yes, so the rituals are important. And those who wish to, please, by all means, do it. Go to a peak of a mountain, get up 4 a.m, take a shower, and put on with this beautiful Korean, dress, men and women, so beautiful outfit, and listen to the silence of the mountain. And if there is, you can beat these big Korean drums,
그리고 만약에
maybe
혹시
1 or 2 times. And then think that I want to see the bodhisattvas. And have some frankincense. Make a small fire. Chant this dharani 21 times. Put blow it on the frankincense.
입김을
All very ritualistically, beautifully, aesthetically. And burn it. And as the smoke rises, look at the clouds, look at the mountains, look at the dawn. By now, maybe the sun is about to rise because the ritual is quite long, 21 times of dharani. And have conviction that this is the manifestation of the bodhisattvas. Wrap it up, your ritual. Dedicate the merit to all sentient beings. Go back to the city and never even mention one word what you have done. Don't leave even a single trace what you have done. Because it has some beauty in it. Not talking about it is so beautiful too. And of course, from the Dow Jones and the Wall Street's point of view, you have totally wasted precious 4 hours. You should be, looking at the market and buy the market, this share, sell this share. You should be, right?
Okay.
But we are assuming that you are a being who has a different definition of what is being useful. And this is just one ritual that I just extracted from here. And this morning I've already told you the ritual of how to tame the zombies. There's a lot of zombies in Gangnam. Some of those zombies even have plastic surgery. Okay, I'm just joking, so we will end here tonight.